I've always said that I could quit Fortnite whenever I wanted to. That was a lie I told myself while entering my card number for the fifth time that month. Look, when a skin says limited time, to me, that's basically a threat. I didn't even like half of them. I just needed to own them. Completionist mindset, if you will. I remember at one point my bank actually called me and asked if my account had been compromised. I said yes, by Epic Games. I joked once that if Fortnite ever released another, even slightly different JONSEY skin, that I'd probably put a lien on my house, just for the investment. I kinda creepily laughed at the thought of that, but the universe didn't. The night it all started, I loaded into Fortnite the way I always did. Exhausted and frustrated with my children and my wife always taking away my free time. And by this point, I was already checking to see if the item shop had refreshed. I decided to queue into a match, and when I finally arrived on Spawn Island, the lobby was quiet. Too quiet. Nobody was there. I stayed in thinking that this would be a good chance for me to work on my editing skills. I never could have anticipated how wrong I was. That battle bus flew its route, but nobody jumped. No trails, no gliders, just me, dropping alone into an island that looked abandoned. When I finally landed, that's when I saw him. JONSEY stood on a hill outside Tilted, just staring at Loot Lake. But he wasn't looting. He wasn't even moving. He was just standing there with his pickaxe out, like he was waiting for something to spawn. I felt uneasy, even just looking at him. I felt as if he was aware of me. I shot him. No hit marker. He just turned around slowly, and I swear I could see a smirk on his face. And then he started taking the L. I was full of rage and extremely angry that JONSEY would emote on me. A single pickaxe swing could be heard behind me. And that's when I turned around. And then that anger quickly turned into an anxiety when I saw that there was nobody behind me. I turned back around to where JONSEY was, but the moment I snapped my head around, he was gone. I scanned around for a minute, and then I mysteriously died. Cause of death, fall damage. I hadn't jumped. This alone was enough to make my heart pound. The screen didn't go back to the lobby right away, it just faded into black. Then, ready up. Reluctantly, I clicked the button. This time it loaded slowly, and painfully slow. Much like the last time, this island appeared in chunks, like it was assembling itself reluctantly. No birds, no wind, no gunfire. Felt like the server had been evacuated for some creepy reason. I figured that Fortnite's servers must be glitching, or maybe even corrupted. But I landed at Weeping Woods, and then I started farming wood. But I froze when I started to hear somebody weeping. My heart was racing. I was so horrified I began crouching as I was investigating the weeping sound. There he was. I immediately threw down an impulse grenade to try and escape, but instead of launching me, it made me do a boogie. All I could do was dance. It felt like the ultimate scare tactic, so I slowly danced away from him. But he just followed me. Not chasing, not sprinting. He was just doing sort of a creepy crouch walk, pickaxing the air, I think for another scare tactic. I immediately started upchucking because I was so scared. Once the boogie bomb wore off, I started sprinting until I saw a lone house. I hid in the upstairs in the bathroom, praying he wouldn't find me. I crouched behind the door. My heart was pounding out of my chest. Fortnite logic said that camping wouldn't work, but fear doesn't care about simple gaming mechanics. I heard the door open downstairs. The footsteps creeped up the stairs, and then they stopped outside the door of the bathroom that I was hiding in. Silence. And then I heard a pickaxe smash the wall next to me. He's just trying to scare me and lure me out, I thought. And then another, followed by another, and then another, until the wall was finally gone. JONSEY crouched so that we were eye to eye. His face clipped slightly, like the game wasn't meant to render him this closely.
Here's JONSEY. You're nervous, I can tell. That's bad for farming materials. We've got to calm you down so that the resources flow smoother.
I yanked my headset off immediately and then I left the game. I just sat there in my chair, breathing hard, staring at the lobby screen like it might be the one to blink first. When I finally composed myself, I started panicking again because I had realized that I wasn't playing Fortnite anymore. The panic blinded me and I forgot why I left in the first place. I queued in for another one. As soon as I pressed ready up, the lobby music began to sound wrong and creepy. It was slower and warped, like it'd been playing through a wall. I noticed that my locker only showed one skin. It was JONSEY. He looked corrupted and glitched. Everything else, every one of my cosmetics, was gone. I felt a tight, hollow feeling in my chest, but this had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with loss. Not the money, not the time, but the commitment. The island finally loaded in after about a minute of waiting in the lobby, but I wasn't on Spawn Island. I was on the battle bus already. My heart sank when I looked up and noticed that the bus driver was dead behind the wheel. We crash landed next to a house, but it wasn't just any house. I'd never seen a house like this in Fortnite before. That's when the realization kicked in. This was my house. Not like a Fortnite version, but like my real house. I went inside, the same couch, the same hallway dent, the same outlet by the living room that never really worked right. Seeing it rendered perfectly made my stomach drop in a way that nothing else ever had before. JONSEY was inside, pickaxing the wall. Each swing made my real lights flicker. Clang, 5 wood. The outlet sparked. Then it tore open. Purple light spilled into my real-life bedroom, distorting the walls like a fisheye lens. The familiar riff sound stretched thin, distorted like it was being dragged through something too small. JONSEY stepped out, full-sized, calm, and smiling. He looked around like a contractor assessing a job.
Residential. Untouched. Time to harvest.
I tried to move, but I couldn't. And then he started undressing me. He put my legs behind my head and they were locked in. My arms shook uselessly. It felt like someone had taken my controller and placed it down, just out of reach. I finally submitted. JONSEY noticed this.
You've relaxed. Good.
My wife came in first, asking what the noise was. JONSEY didn't care to explain, and he didn't hesitate. He swung his pickaxe. She broke apart into light. Loot hit the floor, and then she was gone. All she had was a legendary iPhone and an uncommon pair of headphones. I screamed her name in agony. The sound felt trapped in my chest. I was finally able to let out a blood-curdling scream. JONSEY winced slightly at this.
Sounds attract third parties.
And then the kids ran in.
A full squad.
JONSEY sighed, like this was nothing more than a huge inconvenience for him.
Poor rotation timing.
He placed me in a 1x1 and then edited a window for me to watch.
No interference. Intimacy matters.
This is what he said while gently caressing my face. The kids tried to hide behind the couch, but he pickaxed through it. Each swing echoed. The house was hollow now. He destroyed most of the walls. One by one, they disappeared into bursts of light, the room glowing, and then it went dim. Now it was empty and quiet and soulless. When it was over, JONSEY stood alone in my living room. He turned to me, up close, but his smile wasn't evil. It was professional, confident, and smug.
You survived. That was intentional.
He tapped the wall of my box with the pickaxe. Clang. The hit didn't break the wall. It broke me.
You've already invested a lot. I'm just collecting assets. Thank you for playing my game, Carter.
And then he rifted back. The world snapped back to normal, and so did Fortnite. Normal music, normal colors. I was able to move again. I looked at what remained of my house. There was a single wall holding up the entire upstairs portion of the house. Piles of loot and gore remained where my beloved family once danced. I don't play Fortnite anymore, but sometimes when the house creaks at night, I swear I hear a pickaxe swinging. Careful, patient, mocking, and longing. It's like he's inviting me to start the next game.